So as I was saying, I want to talk about GRM and a little quick review with GRM, but mostly about cap rate and understanding the difference between retail and discount and what we can do with those discounts. What's reasonable, and making sure that when we're looking at properties, if there's a rehab involved in the purchase of the property, we want to include that in the actual purchase price. Okay, does everybody understand that? So purchase price, we want to make sure that we include the rehab. Okay, is everybody clear on that? So if the purchase price is 100K, and we know that there's 20K in rehabs, that's going to give us a 120K purchase price. Okay, for us. Okay, that's important to understand because that's going to affect our cap rate. Okay, now cap rate, retail cap rate. Retail, does everybody understand what cap rate is? Okay, so cap rate is basically ROI, okay, of value, okay, or purchase price. Okay, so it always assumes that we're paying in full. We're paying in full for the property. So 100K value with a net operating income of 10K gives us a cap rate of 10. Does everybody understand that? Is there any questions about that? Is everybody clear on that? If you're not, that's okay. We're good? Okay. So when we look at cap rates, I want us to make sure that we understand. Give me 1 second. I want us to make sure we understand that we're always considering that cap rate as an indicator for, is there an opportunity? Okay? So when we look at cap rate of 3, that would be retail. Okay? Does everybody understand that? The cap rate of 3 is going to be retail. A GRM of 17 is going to be retail. Okay? Right when you see a GRM of 17, you know you're in retail. Cap rate of 3 typically is retail. Now, we can look at certain areas, and certain areas might have ranges of, say, 2 to 4 in the cap rate range. Okay? Now that you're mostly going to see in a metro area. Okay, metro areas are going to be 2 to 4 cap rate. Okay, 2 to 4 cap rate is extremely difficult to work with. Okay, it's basically selling the property at retail, and we don't want to purchase the property at retail. So, give me 1 second. One second here. Just going to get a... Please give me 1 second. Just getting a student... Oh, there we go. Good. Hey, Zach, I was just emailing you back. Glad you can make it. Okay. So the cap rate of 2 to 4 is extremely difficult to do something, as well as the GRM in the 17 range. Does everybody understand why? Is anybody not clear on GRM and cap rate? If you're not, that's okay. I'm okay with repeating it and going over it again. I'm totally cool with it. I want you to understand, because when you're looking at this properties, I don't want you to waste time. That's the most important thing for us, is obviously time, right? So when we're coming across properties with this cap rate of 3, there's basically, not much we can do there. You know, and it's basically retail. So there's not much. The same with the GRM. Now, does everybody know how to calculate GRM? We'll do a quick calculation. So if the rent in a property, is, so the gross rent equals, let's do it on a new board. Hold on one second. So let me give you an idea of reversing the GRM. Let's say the rents are $1,800 a month. Okay, $1,800 a month times 12 equals what? $1,800 a month times 12. 1,800 times 12 equals 21,600. Okay. Now right there, can anybody tell me what we would like to see the value of a property with this kind of rent? Just a quick calculation. Anybody? Okay, so that would give us a 10 GRM. That'd be a little bit high. 175. Okay, tell me how you're getting your numbers. 130. France is actually the closest to it. GRM at 8, you can do an 8. Okay, a 6 would be better. So we would go this times 6, and that would give us the 129,600. I want you to start looking at properties based on income, and I want you to be able to, imagine, imagine what you would estimate the value of a property based on income numbers, because that's all that matters to us is income. So 1,800 would be 129, would be kind of the area that we'd be looking at for the property. Basically, they can tell you the income, and you can tell them what it's worth to you, and that's powerful. That's powerful. Now, if we see 129,600, that means for us to get the proper net operating income would be what? What would be the proper net operating income for us? Who could tell me? What are we looking for net operating income? That's right, $12,960 net operating income per year. Okay? How did we get that? How did we get $12,960? Well, that would make this a cap of 10. 10 cap rate. 10 cap rate. Can anybody tell me, therefore, if this is what we look at, that 1,800, how much of it is expense? How much of it is income? How much is net operating income? Sorry, not net operating income. How much of it's income? How much of it's gross? We got the gross, but how much of that is expense is what I want to say. My apologies. Who can tell me? So of this, so take that monthly. Go monthly. I want a monthly expense. So the expenses would be roughly $1,080. Would be the expenses. $1,080. You got $720. Where'd you get $720? So if you go let me show you where we go. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I'll do the calculation again. So 1,296 is the 12960 divided by 12 gives me $1,080. My apologies, I did that wrong. So $1,080. Well, no, actually, that's right. $1,080 would be not the expense, but the income. My apologies. Yep, that's right. I did it backwards. $720 is correct. So 7, that would be the net operating. That's how much we would take in. The 720, exactly right, would be the expenses. Good job. That's correct. Does everybody follow that calculation? That's right. Does anybody not follow that calculation? Give me the percentage then. Give me the percentage. Okay, we'll come back to that. Give me the percentage. One more thing. So the percentage of that would be, right? Divide that by 1,800 gives us 60%. 60% income, 40% expense would be the ratio. Let's go through that again. Okay? For everybody to see, okay? So we'll do it again. Let's do it again. Okay, we'll do it with a different number. Okay, so let's say that we come across a property and the gross rents are $4,400. Doesn't even matter if it's 2 unit, 5 unit, 10 unit. Doesn't matter. $4,400 is the gross rents. If the gross rents are $4,400, okay, what do we want the value to be based on our GRM calculation? What would we want the value to be? So GRM takes, we want this number times 6. Okay, so everybody do this. 4,400 times 12 times 6. So I should add that. Times 12 first, then times 6. So 4,400 times 12. Does everybody understand that, right? We're getting 52,800 as the gross rent per year. Everybody got that? Okay. So 52,800 is the gross rent per year. Does everybody got that? Everybody's clear on that, right? Okay. 4,400 is the monthly rent. We multiply that by 12, we get 800. Then for us to get the GRM that we're looking for, we multiply it by 6. So we take that number, and we multiply it by 6. That gives us 316,800. Somebody had that written down, I believe. Does everybody see that? Sound is gone. Can you hear me? Hello? You can still hear me, can you? On and off? Okay, hold on. There's something in the background. Let me get rid of it. Let me get rid of it. Okay. All right. Excuse me. So 316,800. Did everybody get that? Everybody understand how we got that number? Okay, so the point of this exercise is for us to understand. No? Okay. So let's do it again. 4,400 times 12. What does that give us? This is the rent per month. 4,400. Okay? Right here. This is the rent. 4,400. We multiply it by 12. That gives us the yearly. Everybody get that? Okay. What we're doing here, I'm going to repeat it again. I want you to start focusing on income numbers. Income tells you the whole story, okay? So, if the income number, if they're telling us, well, the gross rents, I bring in 4,400 a month. It doesn't matter if it's a 10 unit, 5 unit, 3 unit, that doesn't matter, okay? obviously we're going to run the numbers through the whole property, but I want you to start to recognize that a lot can be told simply by the income, because for us, the whole value of the property is based around income. It's based around income. So GRM is a great way for us to understand how income can give us a quick calculation of value, because you want to tell them the value of the property. You need to know your maximum offer price, because if they tell you that, oh, this property is 40, brings in $4,400 a month, and you go, okay, and you do your math times 12, that's 52.8 per year. That's great. And you say, well, I'm looking for a 6 GRM, so I multiply, this number here by this number here. That gives me 316.8. Did everybody see why I did that? How I did that? If they come back and tell us that this property is $500,000 or 200,000, 700,000, 800,000, or they could say 200,000. We'd know what kind of deal it was again. Are you hearing me okay? Okay. Excuse me. Shiva, are you saying that you don't understand this or you don't hear me? You can't hear properly. Okay, let me try something else. Not sure why it's doing that, but we'll see. We'll see if we can figure it out. Okay, is that better? Okay, so the 6 is the norm we expect for GRM. 6 is going to be a good deal for us. Okay, it's going to be considered a good deal. Okay, I want you to see, I want you to identify a good deal. Okay, so through GRM. Okay, so this is telling us that the property range, if we were looking for the 6 GRM, that would be the price we'd be looking for, 316. Does everybody see that? Well, this is tougher to answer, but 6 is safe. We can go higher. We could go higher on that. Say we went to a 12, right? Excuse me. If we went to a 12, that's considerably higher. The price is considerably higher. The dilemma or challenge with going to a 12 is that means that their expenses have to be minimal in this property. A 12 GRM, might work in a rent-own, right? But that's typically going to stretch you right out with a 12, because obviously a 12 is going to do what to this price? What's going to happen to this price? It's basically double, yeah, double. Now here's your challenge, right? Here's your challenge. Now if we went up to a 12, that's a huge range difference. It's double the price. This is your problem. Let me explain. If we do that, what happens is our net operating income. So watch what happens. So let's add new share here. So let's do this. Let's look at the current one we have, and I'll give you an idea of what the challenge is. Okay, when you start getting into the higher GRMs. Okay. So if we have a 6 GRM giving us a price of how much? 300 and what was it? 316. Was it 316.5? What was it? What was it? 316.8? Okay, 800. So watch. If it's 316.8, that would mean that the cap rate on this property is going to give us 31,600 per year as a net operating income. So everybody got that? Everybody understand how I got that? right? Okay, so if your cap rate is 31.6, sorry, if your cap rate, your net operating one is 31,600, that gives us a cap rate of 10. That's what we want, okay? Now with this setup right here, right, if the rent is 4,400, okay, how much of that is income and how much is that expense? How much expenses do I have here? Well, I take this number, 31600, and I divide it by 12, and that means that $2,634, call it, right? This here is income, therefore minus 4,400 is expense, gives us $1,766, $67 is expense. Did everybody see that? I probably went, yeah, you're right, I went a dollar over. There you go. It's 6. So everybody got that? Good. You're not sure? So your net operating income, to give you the 10 cap rate, okay? To give us the 10 cap rate, this number, right? We need 31,600 as net operating income. If the value is 316,800, then the cap rate needs to be 31.6 to give us, sorry, the net operating income needs to be 31.6 to give us the cap rate of 10. Does everybody see that? Okay, so if I know that the cap rate is, I want 10, that means 31,600 is what I need for net operating income. If I look down at the gross rents, that's the maximum my expenses can be, 1766. Okay, now if I divide 1766, because all I did was take this number here, divide it by 12, that's what gave me this number. I take it away from the gross rents, that gives me 1766, right? Everybody got that? Good. So if I divide this number by this number to give me an expense ratio of how much, the gross rents, how much of the rent is going to expenses, I have 40% going to expenses. 40% going to expenses. Everybody see that? Okay, so we're clear. We're still running all the numbers, but I want you to start thinking based on income. That's how we evaluate property. That's how we get price, right? We don't care what they say it's worth. We need to know what it's worth to us, right? So if we know that the expenses are 44, okay, this is going to be a good deal for us. This works. Now here's your challenge. You ready? Here's your challenge. If I go and say, well, let's go to a higher cap rate. Let's see what happens when we go to a higher cap rate. Here's our problem. When you go to those higher cap rates, you got to calculate, you got to go through the calculations as we would, right? But watch what happens with your expenses, okay? So we're still dealing with 4,400 as gross rent. So if we go 12 cap rate, right? We decide, well, you know what? Let's go as high as 12. If we go 12, that property becomes valued at what? 637.6, is that right? Did I get that right? Is that right? Yeah, GRM. Yeah. If the GRM is 12, right? I take those gross rents, 633.6. Oh, 633.6. Okay. So I take the gross rents. Let's go back this up. Let's start with that gross rent again. So if the gross rent is 4,400, I multiply it by 12 times GRM 12, which means multiply by 12. So if we go 4,400 times 12 months times 12 as a GRM, the price now becomes value. The value for us becomes 633.6. Has everybody got that? Everybody understand what I'm saying? Yep. You with me? If you're not, it's okay. You tell me you're not. I'm okay with going over it again. So everyone follows, yes? No. Okay. Okay, Sharon, what is it that you're, what is it, what's the challenge? You tell me. Go ahead. GRM, so the gross rent multiplier we usually use is 6. That's the goal we want. Okay? You know what GRM is, Sharon? So someone asked, what maximum GRM can we go to? Well, if we go to a 12, let's say, so GRM is gross rent multiplier. It's a quick calculation for value. So you take the rent, you multiply it by 12, and then you multiply it by the GRM you want. Okay? So we used the 6, that gave us 318,000. Sorry, 300 and was it 16,000? I can't even remember. 16,800. Yeah, 316,300. Okay, we did that on the last page. Okay, so 4,400. So if someone says to you, you say, how much rent are you bringing in a month? They say, I'm bringing in 4,400. What we're trying to evaluate is, what can I say the price of this property is? What's the value? What value can I place on this property? Because all value is based on income, right? Income. In this case, it's gross income, but net operating income is really what we're looking at. Excuse me. So we use the 6 because that's the goal, is the 6. But if we go up to a 12, because someone asked how high can we go? Well, you could go to a 12, but a 12's, 12's tough. 12's tough. And the reason is because, 12, look what happens. If we use a GRM of 12, to get a cap rate, which is goal, right? Cap rate of 10, that would mean that the net operating income of this property per year needs to be what? $63,360 per year. Everybody see that? Yeah, it doesn't work. Exactly. You see what the problem is? Because if the net operating income is 63,360, if we take 63,360, right? 63,360 and divide that by 12, we get 5280. In this case, this is higher than the gross rents up here. It doesn't work. There can't be any expenses in this property. Everybody follow? So 12 might be a property where we could maybe do a lease option, but we're going into retail now. Now, what the good news is with rent to owns, you don't need a deep discount on a rent to own to make money. Can anybody tell me why you don't need you need a deep discount on a rent to own? In purchase, at least. Why you don't need it? It's not as necessary for us. They do pay all the expenses. Yep. Term is important. Francis, can you expand a little bit on term? You make money in the option, you do. Taxes and insurance are covered, yep. So here's the big deal. Let me show you. These are all right. What you're saying is all right. I want you to see the biggest reason, okay? The reason that a rent to own doesn't need to be deep discount really comes down to this, okay? Oops. Really comes down to this. You see whatever the price is you will add. There it is. Helen's got it. The protection for us comes in the fact that if a property's $500,000 and that's retail, we know that's risky. We don't want this problem because we don't know what the market's going to do, right? So we would like to see, a 15 to 20% discount to make this, a safe property. But because it's a rent to own, we can get as small as a 5% discount, and 5 on that would be 25, so it would be 475. And the reason is, that would be sufficient for us. The reason is exactly what Helen says. Because we are contracting the future value, contract with future value, that's what keeps us safe. Oops. Does everybody see that? That's really what makes the lease option great. Future value. Right? Because there's a future value in the contract, really for us, we're getting a discount, right? If it's a 3-year contract at 5%, say even, right? Where does that put that property? Well, if we compound, right, the retail value, the 500,000, let me just do that right now. Okay, so if we compound the property, okay, so let's put this in 500,000, and we say 5% over 3 years. Now the value becomes what? 579. It's almost 579. 579,000. Look at the discount, even at retail. We're basically creating a discount by creating a contract that protects us against the market changing. Does everybody see that? And this is why, rent-to-owns are special, is because you can protect yourself from the market by putting it in the contract. Okay? So you don't need a deep discount. You don't need this huge discount like in buy and holds. And buy and holds against retail, you're looking in this range, right, to make it work. But if you're doing a rent-to-own, you can be less aggressive with price. You don't need a deep discount. And if you're dealing with realtors, most realtors, 5% discount is in a normal market, not a hot market. 5% discount's normal. People are going to come in with 2, 3, 4. Going as deep as 5 is not a huge deal. Even if we went retail, which I'm not a fan of, but even if we went retail, we'd still be 80,000 discount. Everybody see that? And if I did an 80,000 discount, if I said, okay, it would be like I walked up and I said, on a property that was 579, I say to them, I'll offer you 500. And that is range for a discount. Everybody see that? 15%. Everybody see that? Everybody understands what I'm saying, right? That's the power of a rent-to-own, okay? Because you have a contract telling you what the price is. So immediately, we're dealing with this now, right? That price, not this price, and dealing with the future and the change. Now, obviously, that can change year to year. That's going to be different year to year. Not sure. Property not raised like that in some markets. What do you mean at 5%? 5% a year? Is that what you mean? Okay. So this is a great point. I'm glad you brought it up. Okay. As a rule, if you're doing rent to owns, what areas are you looking at? What are we looking at? We're doing rent to owns. What kind of areas are we looking at? Okay, that's okay. We'll do it again. Here. So when you're dealing with the rent to own, okay? Let me show you. Not a problem. These are great questions, by the way. Well, not necessarily high market. I want you to look at high market because Well, here, look. This is a pyramid. Okay, so look at this pyramid. Okay, and let's imagine that this area is low income. Now, the reason that it's widest, I'll give you in this case, widest, is because the market value price, right? It's the most people can afford these areas. Most people can afford these areas, right? Because it's the lower cost. So they're on the bottom. We don't want to be there. I'm just going to break this up into three, okay? Then we got this area, okay? And this area is working middle class areas. Now, why do we want this area? Because this area, unfortunately, up here is also red because this is high-end prices. A high-end price, you can have less people looking for these houses, okay? But these houses here are the working class, yeah, desirable areas, yeah, working class to middle class areas. Now these are going to have what? What are they going to have? They're going to have, you can break it up into two, right? Two areas, right? This area and this area. But basically, people are trying to get upward mobility, okay, from where they live, okay? So they want to go from where they are to another place, most specifically, in many cases, for what? Why do they want to move? What did we say was a big driver? Kids, that's right. School districts. And in the school districts, right, the better the neighborhood, the better the neighborhood, right? The higher the taxes, and the taxes basically you're funding that area, right? Each city area, right? Most of the revenue for a city is coming from the property tax to run the city, right? Sure, they're getting money from other areas, but at the end of the day, it's property tax that's going to run the city. So, you know, when you go to those areas where there's high demand and high school districts, you know, good school districts, usually taxes are a little bit higher, the demand's a little bit higher, and the prices are a little bit higher. But they're not so high that people can't get into them. Now, that being said, going back to the original questions, okay? A percentage-wise, these markets are on what? They're on this area, the rise. So percentage for growth, they should be in the 6% to 10% appreciation rate, right? And why 6? Remember what's the national average? It's about 5.8. Okay, so 6%. That's normal. That's normal growth. So 6 to 10% is not unheard of in these particular areas, right? These areas here where we're trying to get these people in, where they have a desire to be. Does that make sense? You don't want to go to an area where it's going downward, right? The appreciation is going downward, right? You don't want to be in that area. You want to be in good, strong areas. They don't have to be super strong. They don't have to be high end. Excuse me. They don't have to be high end, but we definitely want neighborhoods that people want to live in, right? So, getting a 6 to 10% appreciation rate is not insane, year over year, on average. That's not insane, okay? So when we were talking about 5%, that would be the range we'd be looking at when we're looking at markets in this area. Okay, we're looking at those kind of housing markets. Okay, does that answer your question? Awesome. Great question, by the way. Excellent question. Okay, because you need to know that when you're sitting with these people and explaining to them why you want to use a 5%, you know, appreciation, you need to justify that, or 6% or 10%. You need to justify that. Now, typically, you want to be competitive. You want to give them a good rate. So, you know, if it's a 10, you can go to a 7. If it's a 6, you can go to a 5. You know, the lower you get, obviously, you don't want to go really lower than 5 to protect you. Okay, but you know, you don't have to go the maximum. You can go a couple points less. It's okay if they make money on the deal too. Okay, my only fear would be that after they say 3 years, they go back to the bank, and the bank appraises the property, and it comes out, let's say, $525K. Okay, and Dave, I'm assuming that you're saying that they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to qualify. Is that what you mean? Okay, so great question again, Dave. So when you qualify somebody, you should be qualifying them at the future cost, not at their present cost. Okay? How do you define middle class areas? Okay, so best thing you can do in middle class, working in middle class areas, just look at school districts. That's all. Look at school districts. Okay? Look at your school districts, and you don't want the top areas in the city of school districts. You want the middle area. That's your working in middle class area. Easiest way to do it. Really it's based on income, but it's you don't have to look at it that way. Just look at school districts. Rankings of schools and school districts, that'll give you the best insight for where people want to live. And you'll see that in the area's appreciation rate. You'll see it in the school districts. You'll see it in the taxes. All of that plays into working in middle class areas. You don't want to be in this red area. Not many places in Canada are considered war zones, but this area here, what kind of deals would you want to do in this area? What kind of deals would you want to do in this area? You can tell me. Exactly. Fix and flip. Fix and flip. Don't hold on to it. Fix and flip it. You know what's interesting? What's interesting is up here is fix and flip too. Fix and flip. Yeah. And why would it be fix and flip? Tell me why. Who can tell me? Zachary, are you asking for the top or the bottom or both? Just so I'm clear. Top. Okay. So tell me why the top would be a good area for fix and flip. Who can tell me? So we're back here, just to double check. So we were talking about this top area here. The bottom cannot afford rehab. Okay. So I'll tell you that we're gonna find. Yeah, I could see that, but you're right in the sense that you're maybe not gonna find so many people ready to rehab, so they'll get discounted price and they'll sell it as is. The buyers probably want something to move in ready. Okay, so let me try this. So look, the reason that this area here and this area here are good for rehabs. Okay, rehab. Okay, biggest reason. Okay, so down here it's for two different reasons. Okay, down here. Okay, we don't want to buy and hold because why don't we want to buy and hold here? Anybody? Too long, top, lower appreciation. Yep, lower appreciation. No money in it. Dave, when you say no money in it, what do you mean? Believe it or not, these properties will cash flow. Easy. Problem is what? Vacancy and tenant quality or rollover, you can call it. Tenant quality. Everybody see that? The bottom will actually cash flow pretty easy. The problem is your vacancy will be higher and your quality of tenant will be not as good. Does everybody understand that? Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. So it's not that they're bad properties or anything. It's just the cash flow is pretty easy actually. Down there, because the value of the home versus the income, you can cash flow them. Okay. So it looks like a good buy and hold, but the problem is your vacancy and the quality of your tenant quality would be low, right? So it's better to, flip flip this property, rehab it, flip it, and let somebody else deal with that portion of it. Now up here, it's for a different reason. We don't want to hold. We don't want to buy and hold. Why? Up top here. Why? We don't want to buy and hold because there's no cash flow up here. No cash flow. Everybody see that? Can't cash flow these properties up here. Why? Yeah. Well, high holding costs. Yeah, well, that's part of it. But really, mostly, it's because the prices are just too high. Yeah, they're just too high. They're just too high. You know? I was looking at a couple of the properties that were sent to me this week, and the prices were maybe 800, and just as a general rule for everybody, you're looking for 1% a month against value, okay? As a general rule, okay? So to give you an idea what that means, when I say that, it's pretty simple, really, right? These are good rules of thumb, right? They help you not waste time, right? Not waste time. So okay, let's go like this. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Okay, so as a rule, we like to see, a nice little, if they say to us, hey, the purchase price of this property, purchase price is $1 million. If they tell me it's $1 million, where do the rents need to be? Well, rent needs to be per month, just as a quick calculation. It needs to be $10K per month. $10K per month. That's the range of the rent. You're not going to get $10K per month for $1 million house, right? So if somebody says to you, the purchase price of this property is $1 million, and the rents per month are $3K, I can tell you right away this is a loser. Loses money. Yeah, gross rent, Timothy. Yeah, gross rent. Yeah, good question. They say to you, I'm bringing in $3K a month for this property, it's a loser. This property is not going to make any money. This is going to own you. This property is going to own you for 25 years. Or at least until you get so much equity into it, it's not losing. Does everybody understand that? So 1% is a good rule. It's a good rule. It doesn't mean 100%, but if it's 3K, forget about it. Look, 3K probably doesn't cover the taxes. 3K a month doesn't cover the taxes on $1 million property. How's that property going to make you money? Doesn't even cover taxes and insurance. So 3K, that's not going to work. So I want you to start, and the whole reason we got on this conversation, I want you to start being confident in understanding that, look, the property's only valuable to you if it pays you. If it doesn't pay you, its value is limited to rehabbing and flipping, or possibly adjusting it to do a rent to own. But a straight buy and hold, that's not going to work for us. That's not going to work for us. So when you talk about that pyramid, the top end, you're dealing with properties like this. They're a waste of your time. They're a waste of your time. And I want to repeat this to everybody. And I know it's challenging to find a good deal, but this is what I promise you, okay? Is if you follow it properly, the likelihood of you making a mistake is slim and none. And this is huge. You do not want to make mistakes in real estate. That's a big, big deal, okay? So we are aggressive in our pricing. We're aggressive in our numbers because we don't want to make a mistake. Because once you get this property and it's yours, it's yours. This is not a simple, it's not like a stock that we can liquidate, easily. This is a property that costs, there's a cost to liquidate that property. It's not something that's done instantaneously like a stock, okay? But that's an advantage too. There's advantages to the slow-moving values of property. It's not as quick to move. You're never going to wake up and watch your property lose 40% like you could in stocks. So its slow movement actually creates opportunity for us, as does the speed in the stock market. Excuse me. Did anybody have any questions about that? Okay, would you recommend throwing out lowball offers based on our rule of thumb, say 6 GRM? For this example, if the property only generates 3K a month with a 6 GRM, the value would be 216K. Yeah, I agree with you, Justin. So don't even bother, Justin. And what you say to these people is, look, this property doesn't work for me, based on the numbers. I don't want to, I really don't want to insult you or anything with the numbers that the price that I came up with. And they might kind of ask you what's the price with. And if they do ask you several times, well, what price did you tell them? That's okay. But don't offer that price up, because you're going to get a hard no. You're not going to get a little no. You're going to get a hard no. So you want to be able to work with properties and spend the time where properties have an actual shot, versus trying to come in lowball. This is a big no for us. So I agree with you, Justin. Yeah. Okay. So do we not look for properties in the high and bottom end of the pyramid, right? Well, I don't want to say that either. I don't want to say there's that this property here, okay, is no good for buy and hold. But what can we do with this property? Even at 3K income, there's something we could do. What could we do? Buy, fix, and sell. Yeah, we could flip the property. Good, Francis. If there's a rehab in there, possibly we could flip it. Yeah, what's the other one we can do? Rent to own, Timothy, at 3K would be tough. If it was like 7 or 5, maybe. But 3K, it would be too low. Buy, rent, and hold. How would that be tough? We don't want to hold it. We don't want to hold this. Think capital gains. Think capital gains. So there's a couple strategies. There you go. Zachary's got it. Wholesale. You can wholesale this property for the right price. Right. Okay? Yeah, we can wholesale the property. I want you, and the reason I bring this up is because I want you to recognize every property in every area is an opportunity. The problem people get into, or the trouble they get in, is they use the wrong strategy for the wrong type of property. Right? So if we go back to it, these are great questions, by the way. If we go back to, let's hide that. If we go back to the pyramid and say to ourselves, well, okay, what's typically what can we do? So if I look at the pyramid and I say, okay, here's the pyramid. Let's see, crappy pyramid. Here, let me try that again. Let's go big. That's even worse. Okay. Okay, there's our pyramid. Okay. The 3 sections. 3 sections. Okay. Up here, what type of deals am I going to do? Wholesale is selling a contract. It's not owning the property. You get a property under contract and you sell the contract. So up here, what kind of strategies are we going to use? What are we going to use? Good. Excellent. So up here, we're going to use buy, fix, sell. Excellent. And what else? Okay, so foreclosure, I'm open to that. Right? As long as the foreclosure is a discount and we can come back to a buy, fix, and sell, or a wholesale is excellent. Wholesale, right, is the other one we can do here, right? Now, foreclosure we can do in here. We can do that. That's not a problem, as long as it's a flip. So I want you to think, when you're talking up here, right, I want you to think about capital gains. I want you to think of capital gains. So capital gains, cap gains. Okay? Cap gains means you buy and you sell, or you wholesale, or you flip. These are strategies that are basically earned income. Now, could we do a rent to own up there? It's possible if the numbers make sense. But most of all, buy, fix, and sell and wholesale are going to be the primaries in there. Okay? Now, what about down here? What do we do down here? What kind of strategies? Down here we do wholesale. Good. Wholesale. What else? Excellent. Buy, fix, sell. See a pattern, right? And same down here, foreclosure would be applying here too, okay? Now, again, what are we looking for? We're looking for cap gains, earned income strategies, right? Now here, look at this. This is the good news. You ready for the good news? In here is the biggest area. In the biggest area, what can you do? What can you do in the middle area? Rent to own. Good. What else? All of them. Helen's got it. The reason it rocks is because you can do all of them. No problem. All of them. You can do all of them. Excellent. All of them. Everything. You can do everything in the middle. Everything. You do buy, fix, and sell. You can wholesale. You can rent to own. All of them. And the great news is most properties sit in that middle area. Most properties sit in that middle area. So that's what we love, right? So it's I don't want you to tell you that there's no opportunity in the top and the bottom. I just want to make sure that we're using the right strategies. In the middle, that's where the biggest chunk of opportunity you're going to find, which is good news because that's where most properties sit. Okay, good. Wrapping up, we got a couple minutes. Any questions? Great session tonight, by the way. These excellent things that we covered. A couple of people typing. How do we know where the property sits in the pyramid? Great, Zachary. Other than school districts, can we find areas by income? You can. There's lots of research on the internet for incomes of an area. Basically, there's a couple things you can do. Okay. So you could do what we call a drive-by, right? You can literally drive around, and we call it farming areas, right? You can look at areas and know where your low incomes and your high income area are. Okay. You can also, you don't have to go physically into a car with the way the internet is now. You can also literally look up school districts and their rankings, right? And the middle schools are going to be the areas where middle working class are going to be. Okay. The other thing you can do is talk to your realtor. It's real easy. Talk to a realtor. This is their business. They know this. What areas are the middle working class and middle class areas? They'll tell you. If I had a property in a down area, not able to sell, can I rent to own in order to get the price I want today, 3 years from now? Excuse me. No appreciation in the area. Okay, so couple challenges with that, because there's no appreciation in the area. You could say I'm going to go with the 6% appreciation, just as a general number, because that's the national average. The problem is when they get to the end of the term, it might not be there, right? It might be higher, but it might not be there at all, right? The other thing is the properties, if it's in a down area, who wants to live there, right? Who's living there, right? Typically, those areas are high rental areas, and there's a reason that they're renting. Ownership is something that they want to do in other neighborhoods, and that's actually a great indicator for middle working class areas. You'll find that they have a high ownership rate in that particular area. High ownership rate. Okay, so in low income areas, low ownership rate. In middle and upper class areas, upper class is going to be, pretty much all, not all ownership, but very, very high, right? Because those properties can't be rented for profit, but they can be sold, right, for people to buy. So in the middle area, you're going to have a higher than average, ownership. Now in Canada, I think we're like 62%. We're in the 60s. Ownership, maybe 65 ownership. In these areas, you're going to find much lower than that. In these areas, you're going to find higher than that. In these areas, you're going to find the highest ownership rate. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. So best thing to do, going back to those questions, which are excellent questions, best and easiest thing to do really is talk to your realtor. Your realtor knows the area. They know the area, they know prices, they know ranges. You know, that relationship with that realtor can be important in a lot of ways, and they can help you out with that. They can, if you call them up and say, they know school districts, they know the areas. They absolutely know the area. There's a ton of information on the internet these days, based on neighborhoods that you're canvassing. So there's lots you can figure out from there on your own. But calling a realtor is really probably the easiest thing you can do. Okay. Any other questions before we wrap up? Okay. Can we go back to 633, 360? Where did you come up with 52080? Where does that come from into the 40 with the 4400? My 2-year-old interrupted me. Okay. Okay. Well, congratulations on your 2-year-old. That's worth the interruption. Is there an overlap with the momentum class? An overlap. What do you mean by that? Okay, so Dave, the way we came up with that, and I'll answer your question, Francis. Just give me a second. I'm just going to see if I can come back to that. It starts today. Okay, so, and I want to make this clear to everybody. I want you to go to momentum. Okay, I want you to go to your momentum class. I promise this will be here when you come back. Don't worry about it. I don't want you to miss any of your classes. Okay, I know this runs on a Tuesday. I want you to go to that momentum class. If you miss some of these, don't worry. It's recorded. You can watch the recording. I hope everybody has gone to the YouTube channel and subscribed, so you know when the videos come up to make it easy on you. But I want you to go to your classes. This is the main. It's very important. I want you to do that. Okay, so those of you that are in this program, just so you know, this is something I do only for my students. We're blessed to be able to do this, spend this hour a week together. And I promised all of you that this would be open to you. Next year, they're looking at a different type of plan with this. It won't affect any of you. You're all welcome to this as long as it is going to go, and I don't see it going away ever, really, because I think it's important that we touch base once a week. So please don't miss your classes. Don't work your classes around this meeting. Okay, it'll always be here for you. Okay. My pleasure. My pleasure. Really, my pleasure. Okay. So going back to what Dave was saying, my pleasure, guys. For real. This is a small thing for me. This is about 40 hours a year for me to do this for you, and I think there's so much to be gained by this. And I know you made a commitment to this organization, and you made a commitment to me, and I'll always be here for you. I want to make sure that you know that, right? I'm committed to your success as much as you are, or even more. Okay. All right. Excuse me. So couple things. I'm going to come back to you, Dave, about the property, but I want to mention something. So next week, I believe, is going to be. So let's look at dates real quick. This is good that we're doing this now. So the date next week, I'm looking at holiday schedule. Okay. So let's do this. So let's run. Okay, so let's go. We're going to go to the 15th, okay, next week, the 12th. We're going to run one on the 12th. Now, what do you guys think about the 19th? You want to do the 19th? I can do the 19th if you want. If you want the 19th? Can you? Okay. I'm good with the 19th. Not a problem with me. Okay? So we'll run the 19th, okay? And we're going to take the 26th, obviously, off, the 2nd off, and then we'll be back on 6, 7, 8, 9th, okay? So we're going to take the 26th and the 2nd off. So we're going to be off for 2 weeks, okay? So everybody knows, okay? Well, you know what I'd like to do, Sharon? Great point. Those of you who are running Facebook pages, can you post that? Can you post that? Can you post that on your Facebook? So next week, yeah, we'll do one next week and the week after. I can do one next week and the week after, I believe. 12th and 19th we're going to run with, okay? All right. Okay, so let's look at the property that we were looking at, and we'll wrap up the meeting. Okay, so when we were looking at that property, Dave, this won't be bad for us to go over again. Okay. The reason we're looking at that GRM as a problem, a 12 GRM, okay, is because when you start running the numbers on that 12 GRM, your problem becomes on how much can you really make on this property? Like how much income can this actual real income can that produce, right? So when we were talking about 4,400, okay, so what we do is we take, that's the red, okay, we take 4,400 times 12 times GRM, in this case we said 12, of, let's do this, give it a different color, of 12, okay? So this is the year, this is the GRM. So what does that give us? That gives us 4,400 times 12 times 12 gives us a value of, so value, and this is all we care about. I want everybody to understand that, right? Value. We're trying to understand value to us, not to the seller, not to the market. You know, they have their, and we can talk about that next week, okay? Where do these numbers come from the market? Because there is a way to understand that better. Okay, so if we do that, Dave, then what are we looking at? We're looking at a cap rate. We want a cap rate of 10, right? I need this thing to give me a net operating income of what? Operating income of how much? Yeah, 63,000. I know that's what you meant. 63,000. Let's do that again. 63,360. Right? Does that make sense? Everybody? 63,360. Now look at this. Check this out. Right? If we take this number, because that's the net operating income, and I say, well, what is that monthly? Right? What is that monthly? Because that's the yearly, right? So if I divide that by 12, if I divide this divided by 12 to give me the yearly net operating income, it's 5,280. There isn't even enough. Yeah, there isn't even enough money. You know, it's not even producing enough, right? This is the problem. Yeah. It's saying to us, you need to make 5,200, 52,000. That's not, by the way, does not include expenses. You know, this doesn't even include expenses. And if we use the rule of 60-40, right, and most properties land about 50-50, but if we use 60-40, you know, that only makes up 60% of the rent. We'd need another 40% to cover expenses. So you're talking about $8,000-$9,000 in rent. So at a GRM of 12, I mean, well, if you mean without knowing the rent? Because if you know the rent, then I mean it doesn't work. If you had a 5280, if you had a 12 cap rate, if you're running a 12 GRM, basically it's not going to work, right? If you're working the other way, do you see what I mean by that? The cap, it won't work. A GRM of 12 won't work, right? The cap rate won't work. The cap rate would have to be, if you wanted to, I see where you're coming from. This cap rate would have to be 3, closer to 3. Does everybody see that? Cap rate would have to be closer to 3. Does everybody understand why that cap rate would have to be like 3? Good. Because if the cap rate is 3, then we don't need this much money for net operating income, 63,000. Cap rate's only 3. That means I only need to make 3% of this 633,000. 3%. That's now we're talking 9 grand. So 12, I bet you a 12 would work at a 5 maybe cap rate. You have to run the numbers, but a 5 might work. Yeah, a 5 would work. A 5 would work. Would give you a more realistic picture. But a 5 cap rate, what does that mean? There you go. You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. In Vancouver, the cap rate's 3. That's retail. But we don't want to deal with that, right? You can't make money on that property. And you're absolutely right. The normal cap rate in Vancouver is about 3. You know, and I want to, in Montreal, it's probably 4, but not much better. Not much better. You know, it's not much better. Anywhere in Canada, it's not much better. Out east, you see cap rates getting higher. Middle provinces, depending on the area, will be a little bit higher. But retail typically sits around 3% because, and I don't want to get into it now, but there's a reason that the cap rate sits at 3. And I'll explain that. I'll explain that next week. Okay, I'll explain that next week. There's a reason that properties, you know, and cap rates and interest, they're all related. They're all related. You know, they'll move and change based on interest rates and inflation rates. Absolutely, and we can talk about that next week. Okay, are we good? Is everybody good? We have a good session. Awesome, awesome. I'm gonna post this. I'll post this up in the next couple days. You'll get an email. Does anybody need the YouTube link? Everybody's got it, right? My pleasure, Helen. Everybody's got it? Okay, good. Okay, make sure you subscribe so you know when the video comes up. Okay, I want to wish you need it. Okay, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'll get to the YouTube link. 1 second. On YouTube. Okay. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay. So here is a link that'll get you to, if you click on that link, it'll get to the other ones, the whole link of videos, okay? You can subscribe to it and you can see them all. Oh, no problem. No problem, Ron. Was your realtor with you tonight, Ron? So Sharon, there's the link. Click on that. Every Tuesday. That's great. Well, welcome. Okay. So, yeah, Dave, you know what? Send me a text tomorrow. We'll chat. Ron, we're going to chat tomorrow too, okay? Afternoon is better for me tomorrow, so just text me and we'll set up a time. Power team is like family. Yeah, Ron, it is. Treat them well. Treat them well. When is the session online? Jean, what do you mean the session for? Meeting we just did? I figure I'll download the recording. It takes me a little bit of time to download and post it. It should be up by tomorrow. Shouldn't be a problem, John. Okay, I want to thank everybody for showing up.